Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk episode 904. I'm sure there's an old Moog module that's got that serial number, but I can't remember. I didn't actually look into it before the show because it's too hot here. It's 32 degrees in the office. My home office is getting internet back in tomorrow, so I probably will do shows from there while this the planet continues to melt down. But anyway, we'll be talking about music technology this week, as we do every week for Sonic Talk. Sonic Talk is a place to get your news, get a bit of discussion and comment. We talk about synthesizers, drum machines, software, music production, performing, all kinds of stuff that goes along with it. And yes, there is some AI involved because it seems to be all pervasive, but we try and keep it to a minimum because I know how it upsets so many of you. But there will be some today, but actually more of an interesting topic than you would expect. Anyway, we're recording today live. I've already said that bit. I want to say thanks very much to our friends in the chat. I can see Tommy, Carrie Cannon, Floppy Winkle, Neighbour Jack, Tiki Lounge Zombie, that's a good one. The Fiberman, Suits Us, and of course Wagyu's in there somewhere, manning the controls of the moderation button, so be nice to them, otherwise you might get banned. No, he's very good actually. And also helps a lot from a lot of other streamers, so round of applause for Wagyu as ever. Let's see, Nick Howes, I haven't seen you for a little while, nice to see you. Bonkarama, Katie Kilobyte as well, lots of people out there, lovely to see you all. Before I get on to introducing our guests, as is customary, I'll just let you know what's coming up. We've got well, actually, before I do that, you can win a Sequential FOURM if you go to sonicstate.com/competition. That's running for about a month. I can't believe we've got, and I don't want to adjust, these blooming cookies. Anyway, we've got a competition running. You can enter that via Instagram or via the sign-up form, so it suits everybody. Also coming up at 6 o'clock today, I've got the Pittsburgh Modular SV-2 review of that, which I missed the deadline, so we've got Rich Nicol on. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. Currently, also, if you didn't see the Genki Instruments Catler piece we did with Venus Theory, that's really good. Also, if you're a member on YouTube or Patreon at the right tier, you can get hold of a really good sounding decent sampler instrument that Venus Theory did. And if you're not a member, there's a 30% discount for our memberships at the moment over on YouTube, over on Patreon for new members. Gosh, it all gets a bit complicated. So yeah, I'll just play the ad for the for members because I just want to reiterate it. Back after this. You know you can now support us in what we do via Patreon or YouTube, right? Get exclusive content such as gear previews and behind the scenes, early access to some videos, our video archives and more. We have a cracking library of decent sampler instruments with a great UI designed by Venus Theory. There are exclusive discounts from our partners. You can join our active Discord server, and there's an informal monthly hangout with Nick and the team. Get name checked in the credits of Sonic Talk or Sonic Lab reviews. Just choose the platform and tier that suits you best. Your support is most welcome and helps keep us doing what we do. More information at sonicstate.com/members. Yeah, indeed. So let's go on to a guest. We've got a fulsome panel today. We've got a full four. My Celebrity Squares shot is fully populated. Let's go over to Devin. We haven't seen Devin for ages. Devin came on a couple of shows. Devin Belanger, who's there in Canada, in his studio, where we saw Devin. Devin came down to visit us, visit me, and we went out for lunch. Lovely to see you. Nice to see you again. I don't think we've spoken since then. How are you, Devin?
I'm doing great, Nick. It's good to be back. And yeah, great to see you again. It was really cool to come visit the offices down in Bath, see where all the magic happens. So yeah, good to be on today.
Yeah, so what's been going on? You released your album. We know, how did that go? Because I know you were very busy doing it. And I was spotting a couple of videos as well of yours, which look really interesting. You did cinematic synths and then a really good Odyssey jam, which I might play a little bit later. I've got some questions about what happened in that video. But how does the album go? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's been great. I've been, real busy. Just album was released. That was my focus for a while. Now it's been just back to the main focus, the YouTube channel for the last few months. And yeah, I've been doing a bunch of really interesting things around MPE. So I guess that's why I posted the Odyssey jam is I've been kind of diving in more into MPE and kind of testing out different MPE controllers and different synth combinations. So along with a couple of detours to some really cool boutique effects boxes, that I guess we'll maybe talk about later. That's kind of been my focus for the last few months. And I also just got back from a much needed holiday, very rare for me, but went camping with my partner for a couple of days up in the beautiful Canadian wilderness up here in BC.
Nice.
So it's been good. Yeah, not as hot as over in UK.
Any bears?
Any bears? You know what? Everybody always asks that. There are so many bears in British Columbia. And fun fact, we're also the mountain lion capital of the world. So yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with Australians where you just don't want to think about it. Like people always ask, like, aren't you scared of that? I mean, you have your bear spray. You're just supposed to hope for the best. So far, I've only seen them from the car when I'm camping and not in my tent, thankfully. So.
I'm so pleased to hear that. I mean, I guess that adds an extra fristle. That's sort of a real getting back to nature because you're also getting back to the kind of basic instincts of survival and running very fast away from big scary things. So that's always just on the edge of consciousness, which might sort of add a bit of edge to it, I suppose.
For real,
nice.
No, definitely you sleep well, yeah.
I'm glad. Well, and of course, British Columbia this time of year is mosquito hell, isn't it? I imagine aren't there lots of mosquitoes around at that time as well?
You know what? It's not too bad. I think the reason why people say BC stands for bring cash in Canada, it's the most expensive part of the country, is because we somehow got lucky with the most moderate weather, the ocean, the mountains, and we have less bad bugs than the rest of Canada. So it's not too bad, honestly.
Perfect. You're in the sweet spot then. Well, lovely to have you, Devin. We'll get onto a little bit extra later on. Thanks. And we've also got Paulee Bow, who's there in Birmingham, fresh from. You did a gig at the weekend, didn't you? And I saw you posted a picture of you with Cenk. That was it a computer music fair or event? I should have read up.
Yeah, it was specifically a Commodore Amiga event.
Right.
And Cenk is making Amiga software now. Cool looking, kind of electronish, parameter locked sequences and things like that. So that was awesome to see. But yeah, I had a great gig. And it's kind of been non-stop this week because also yesterday I had my first meeting with Birmingham Conservatoire, which is exciting. Looking at what kind of program of disability music activities we're going to try and bring to Birmingham, and that's going to be really cool. We're going to do some kind of hack spaces, some maker stuff, some gigs, hopefully. I was scoping out all of where we can get wheelchairs in the building and stuff like that, so that's going to be absolutely brilliant. And finally, I got some cool new stuff, which is always your favourite part of my intro, isn't it? So I'm going to show you what I got.
What have you got, Paul? Show us what you got, Paul. Oh, is that the drum farm?
One is the drum farm, which arrived today. That's really going nice. To be... It's quite a module.
It certainly is.
So that's going to be awesome. It's got so many different synths, algorithms on it, and sampling and cool stuff like that. So that's going to make a good Sonic Lab review, I think. And the other thing I got is a vintage thing, this weird thing. It's called the Yamaha QR10, and it's like the guts of an arranger keyboard,
but bigger.
Yeah. So it's like the guts of an arranger keyboard with I think the ROM on it's about 1 meg. So the sounds are kind of terrible, but cool in a 90s way. But it's got a sampler on it. It can sample about 3 seconds from 16 kilohertz down to 4 kilohertz. But then the crazy thing is you can just, these cheesy arranger rhythms, you can just swap that for your weird sample on the bass and chord parts. So if you sample in something weird and then and have a waltz going and then switch your own samples in, it sounds absolutely mad. So I've been having a lot of fun with that as well. So that's me.
Oh, cool.
For this week.
Is that one of the Yamaha things that's based on those the chip? It's like the AW the Sound Blaster, the chip that was in the Sound Blaster.
No, that was two op FM, I think, the YM chips and stuff. This is more just like early AWM, 12-bit samples and stuff. So, so it's really cheesy, but it's so cheesy. But it was 50 quid, and I was like, I'm going to have to buy it.
That's a bargain. And we've also got Rich Nicol, who's fresh fresh from the launch of the Pittsburgh Modular SV-2, Lifeforms SV-2, which you can see behind him. We actually saw it in a little bit of a sneak preview of a long time back. So I see you've got what looks like, is that a tiger poster behind the SV, or is that a tiger on its end as well? You've got both behind you.
That's the tiger on my shelf. It's a very thin shelf, so it has to stand up. But this is my sort of, behind me is my sort of tchotchke wall where I just stuff every little knickknack that I get, so that the tiger is on there. I try to have my instruments in my office is the dining room in my house, so I try not to make it too cluttered, but I do have this one section of the wall where I try to stuff all my little toys and stuff. And that is living over there. And then the SV-2 I have set up behind me because I'm doing probably early next week, I'm going to do a live stream and just sort of answer everybody's questions and everything. So I've been setting up for that, which is why I'm on a different camera today. Not that
I
really
see.
makes much of a difference.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did the launch go? I mean, I've got the review. I missed the deadline, which is much to my chagrin. But that's going out. If I didn't already mention it, I think I did. It's going out after this show, about 6 o'clock. It's going to premiere, so check it out. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the I guess this is the first topic. I mean, we're not here to just blow, to tickle your ego. But I mean, it's a really nice piece of work. So you must be very pleased with it. I mean, I'm just curious about this process. I mean, you were saying in the pre-show that it's the release part that you find the less enjoyable, I suppose, because it's where, I mean, isn't it a bit like when you have to play a demo for somebody and you immediately start hearing all the things that you weren't sure about that are wrong with it? Do you get the same sort of vibe with synthesizers as well when you release? You go, oh no, I knew I should have whatever, or have you got it nailed?
No,
of course you have.
The product coming out is the product we want to come out. We've been working on SV-2 now for 3 years. So
wow.
It's very cooked. It's been finished. The production was finished about 5 months ago. And for boring business reasons, it's been waiting patiently in the warehouses. But no, launch day is really stressful for me because it's the day that, hey, here's this thing that I've thought about 24 hours a day for the last 3 years, and you put it up on the web, and then everyone immediately tells you what's wrong with it based on a small picture that they've seen, or one sound that they've heard, and they're like, oh, that doesn't sound very good. I'm like, you heard 3 seconds of one sound. It's a synthesizer. It makes different sounds. If you want a different sound, we could make a different one. And there's this whole idea, I have this in my mind of, here's the things I want people to be excited about for it, because to me, there's some interesting things that I'm like, we worked really hard on these bits to make it stand out and make it a little bit different. This is the stuff I'm interested as an analog researcher. These are the bits that interested me. And so every now and then someone will like it for the reason you want them to like it. And that's that feels very good. But most of the time people like it for their own reasons. And it's hard for me to get that wrap that around my head that artists are going to like it for the way they like it or have questions in the way they have questions. So it's very stressful for me. So yesterday, like I was saying in the pre-show, from the moment I woke up until I went to bed, my stomach was just in knots all day.
Oh.
But the thoughts and the feedback has been very positive. I can't wait for people to actually get them and start making music with them, because that's the whole point. We talk about this a lot at work where, we don't make medical equipment. We make musical instruments. People can create art with this stuff. So I can't wait to hear what people do with it, because it's always so wildly different than what I've done. Even in the reviews, your review and in Starsky's review, the music and the sounds that come out of it are so different than anything that I would have ever thought of. So that is fun for me, and it's very exciting.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, because, I mean, I'm conscious that I've been doing this for so long now that it's very easy to fall into the same habits. I know, Devin, you probably find the same thing. You look at synths and stuff. Sometimes you just think, oh, wow, I played those chords last time, and I played them again, and I played them again, and whatnot. So, I don't know. But, have you got any Pittsburgh stuff? You should try it, definitely, if not.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't had the chance to get any Pittsburgh stuff, or I haven't worked with Pittsburgh either yet. But I have played the Taiga. A buddy of mine has one, and it's a great synth. I definitely have been thinking about picking one of those up for a while. It looks really cool. I think I was saying to you before the show, Rich, that the different ways you can gain stage the filter and the different character modes, and then being able to add more saturation before. I feel like for me at least, that's what I really look for in mono synths, and I think so much of the more I get into designing bass sounds for different genres, whether it's more modern bass sounds or more vintage bass sounds, it's almost like the gain staging and the level of saturation is oftentimes as important, if not more important, than the original wave shape you're using or even the style of filter. And you can really just, I feel like, shape a lot of sounds. So if I do end up checking one out, I'm really excited to see how far we can push it. I like to always on my demos try to, if somebody's, so far a lot of the demos I've heard, I was watching Starsky's before this, it's really awesome, has that classic vintage tone. I think for me, I'd probably see how far I could push it in the opposite direction and get into this dark industrial Gesaffelstein territory. So the polar opposite.
You could definitely do that, I would say.
Yeah.
Gain staging and synthesis is so critically important. And that was one of the things that always bothered me about Eurorack, because there were so many Eurorack modules coming out. And still to this day, it's this way. It drives me crazy. And they'll have all the CV inputs you could want, but there's no attenuators on them, or there's no attenuverters on them. So essentially, they're turning these controls that could be very subtle into on-off switches. And I find that wildly frustrating. So CV attenuators and really tuning things so that you're hitting the right spot of those is always super important. And, you know, not my instruments, I think just in general in synthesis, the amount of subtlety in that is really incredible. And gain staging is so important, especially in these big complex instruments, because you are hitting limits every single stage of the way. And how you hit those and where you add drive does make a huge difference.
Yeah, no,
synthesis lesson of the day.
Well done. Thank you very much. I know, Paulie, I know, because you've got a couple of Pittsburgh things. I mean, I personally, the SV-1 was my kind of benchmark, because I love the sound of that thing. I've got the original one, not the Mark II, where there was a couple of stability issues sorted out, but I love the sound of that thing, and this has definitely got some of that going on and more, that's for sure. Paulie, subtractive synthesizer, it's a bit large. I don't know if you've got enough space. If you're filling every available nook and cranny with these little sort of arranger things, where are you going to find room for this stuff?
God knows. Well, this is the thing. In order to get me to move house, I've been promised a bigger studio. Because getting an autistic person to move house is quite a task. You know, because it's like it's all change, it's routine, and blah blah blah. So I've been bribed with the promise of a slightly bigger studio, so that'll be okay. But yeah,
you're pre-filling
this
then.
Synth, yes, this synth interests me for a few reasons. I think, you know, to a certain extent, I'm quite burned out on analog synthesis. I kind of don't really get excited when a new monosynth comes along, because by now I've got all sorts in my studio. You know, I've got like analog synths with Curtis filters, I've got analog synths with state variable filters, I've got all this going on. But what I like about Pittsburgh, see, I said it right, I didn't say Pittsburgh as I usually do. What I like about Pittsburgh designs is that they keep pushing the envelope of analog. So like, I'm a big fan of the Lifeforms primary oscillator that I've got, because that's got the blade wave on it. And a few other little bits and pieces, which, you know, wave folding and things like that, which really take it into a more interesting territory. And the fact that this one has got through 0 FM on it is the thing that interests me, basically. Because you can really push things outside of a, you know, a safe analog territory and get almost kind of digital-ish kind of tones. And the other thing I really like is the little, like a Devo power dome hat shaped wave that you've got in there. It's like pulse width modulation.
It's the
but it's got little steps.
Pulse sync.
Yeah, that reminds me of kind of like early CMOS logic kind of waveforms and stuff like that. So I really, really like that. So there's enough bits in there for even someone with loads of analog synths who's a bit burned out to go, ooh, I wonder what that will sound like, if I do this and then I do this. So it got my mind excited with the possibilities. And lastly, spring reverb is always a win on any instrument, as far as I'm concerned,
and it's
for making
one.
murky.
And you could bash it, and it pings as well, which I demonstrate in my in case anybody wanted to know. I didn't drop the instrument; I just tapped gently on the front panel, and you can hear it go boing. But yeah, it's nice.
So satisfying.
Nicely done. Yeah. Well, congratulations, Richard. It must be a relief now it's out there. So I guess the thing is, well, as you were saying, it's been sitting around for a little while for various business reasons. So you must be caught up. You must have a queue of all these other things coming along, which must be keep you excited, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We're always working on something new, and we're working on one project. We're trying to do it as publicly as possible, where we're doing updated versions of the SV-1. We're doing a MIDI version. And then we're going to do a mini version of the Voltage Lab as well. And we're doing it all sort of in the open, the design. We're asking Instagram people what they think of various features and whether they should be added or not, or how we should implement things. So we're using the whole thing as sort of an experiment to try and bring the people
crowdsourcing without a Kickstarter, I suppose, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, because it sort of started as a joke one night. I was talking to my buddy Herman, and I was like, well, what if we did this? He's like, no, that'll never work. So I'm like, oh, we got to try it. And the guy kind of wanted I wanted an SV-1 that had the modern oscillator cores that are in the SV-2, that have the auto tune and the through zero and all that. So I thought, well, let's do it and see what people think. And that's sort of outside of what we're also been doing. I've been talking about a drum machine now for years, where we designed one, and at the last minute I said, no, I don't want to do it like that. Let's start over. So hopefully that's coming out towards the end of this year. But right now it's all about the SV-2. I'm so excited to get it out and for people to hear it, because it does have a voice of its own, and I think it deserves someone's attention to at least hear and judge it based on what it can do.
Absolutely. Well, I'm into that, and long may it continue. Okay, I think I'll take a short break here, and we'll be back after this. New from Cherry Audio is the Ensoniq ESQ1, a virtual synthesizer that honours the 40th anniversary of the classic ESQ1 polyphonic hybrid synthesizer. The plugin features the original 32 waveforms, licensed from Creative Technology, which allows for an authentic recreation of complex sounds from 1986. It includes modern features such as extensive modulation options, rhythmic pattern generation, polyphonic aftertouch, and MPE, along with integrated effects. The Ensoniq ESQ1 includes over 400 presets that blend classic factory sounds with new designs, and it also supports data exchange with the original hardware. Ensoniq ESQ1 by Cherry Audio, still the one, and available now at cherryaudio.com. Yeah, so a few bits of extra news today as well. I wonder whether to go. I might go for this actually next, because Richard has had his topic. The other one was you brought this one up, Paulee. I don't know if I've got an actual. Don't think there is actually. Yeah, no, that's not Mood Pan, is it? Plaits Palette. This looked interesting. So this is a a custom free website that allows you to create custom patches for your Mutable Instruments Plaits, which is, as we know, there's a lot of there's been open sourced a lot of that stuff. So this is really interesting. I get the feeling this might be vibe coded, but I could be wrong. What is it that excites you about this? Because I don't use a Plaits. I've not really kind of come across it, Paulie. I sort of throw it in there.
Sure. I think the fact that it's Mutable Instruments interests me straight away, because there's such a legacy there of, you know, as I said, open source designs and, you know, real kind of new thinking about things. You know, they were very forward thinking. And this, you know, again, offers something where you can completely customize your module. There's already, I think, 24 different, in 3 banks, algorithms on Plaits. But, you know, if you don't like a couple of them, if you think a couple of them are a dud, then you could swap it out for something else. And there's already a few user, kind of like the Korg SDK in a way, I guess. There's a few user algorithms and oscillators on there, including an analog clap, which is really cool. And I think there's also one which is like pulsar synthesis, which sounds really, really cool. So I just thought we talked a lot about getting more out of your instruments in the past, you know, because the world everything's more expensive. There's a chip shortage, all of that kind of stuff. And I thought that this was a good way to get more out of a classic module, basically.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid. I mean, I'm sure, Rich, you must be delighted that you're not actually making anything that requires RAM or hard drives at the moment, because that would just be, an absolute disaster. I mean, it's becoming a real problem, and there's no real. I don't think there's any real sign that it's going to get any better, which is a real drag for us. So it's going to affect people who maybe want to build sample libraries and things where you need storage. It's like, well, I haven't got any room and I can't afford a hard drive. The hard drive costs 3 times what the instrument costs, you know, whereas it used to be the other way around. I know, Devin, are you...
it's so much worse than that, Nick.
Yeah, is it really?
It's so much worse than that now. Thanks to the Strait of Hormuz being closed, there is shortages right now on resistors and capacitors and just PCB, the materials you need to make PCBs. So we're working on a project, and I just got the bill for the extra costs for resistors, where resistors are going up in price 100x.
Wow.
From 2 weeks ago. And it's crazy because these are, you know, 100K resistors that you use by the thousands and everything are just, the prices are going crazy. So it's not, it's no longer just RAM and chip shortages. It's affecting even us analog guys.
Wow. Oh, that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring the mood down quite so bleakly, but I suppose it can't be helped. I don't know, Devin. I can't remember, Devin. Are you in Modular World? Is Mutable Instruments something that have you dived in? Divin in? I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, no, I've actually never used Mutable Instruments other than, I guess, within like something like the Mini Freak that has the open source oscillators in there. And the good example, as Paulie said, of why open source is so cool. It's always really interesting, much like remixing or sampling in the musical composition world. It's really cool to see what people will do with open source ideas and iterate on them, because I really do love those oscillators inside the Mini Freak. But yeah, my exposure to modular, I've been tempted for a long time, and one of my good friends has always been trying to get me to get into Eurorack, but I've just been more into semi-modular synths, stuff like the Matriarch or the 2600M and different things like that. The Malevolent was one I used for quite a while. That was cool. Because I do like, at the end of the day, like so much of my work is producing music, whether it's for myself or for other people, and I like having a normal signal path, but I'm sure one day in the future, I'll dive into the
that's a fair
Eurorack world and I'll be like, why didn't I get into this sooner? Because it is really cool and interesting, the idea of being able to create a completely custom synth. So yeah,
that's a fair point. I guess if you're doing music to picture and therefore to deadlines or any of that kind of stuff, then it's harder to incorporate a physical workflow where you can't recreate easily somewhere where you were, previously. But yeah, it's a very different horses for courses. Okay, and there was actually that was the other thing I was going to bring up next, because that you posted a video, Devin, on. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, let's do that one. No, let's do this one, because I thought this was kind of fun. We did talk a little bit about AI. There's a great article on CDM by Peter Kern, which is kind of this new trend of creating deliberately misinformation and bad music to train AI on, so it sort of screws with the algorithms, which I think is a really interesting idea. This one was brilliant. This is Luke Nicol's, called "Hey AI, Come and Train on This Song." I'm assuming it's okay. I can play it because it might get scraped. So yeah, very much Woody Guthrie sort of vibe.
Hey, yeah, come and train on this song. Come on and drink it up like oatmeal. There ain't nothing wrong with this song. Yeah, come here to collect my correct words and absorb how I play all the right chords on this guitar. Yeah, this song is so much smarter than Mozart, or even Mozart. Yeah, I made this tune for you, AI, to borrow. But if you would, just please return it in a few days before tomorrow. Yeah, it'll teach you how to count all the times the letter Z appears in the word easy. So
it's brilliant. It's like a sort of nonsense, isn't it? It's just such a. It's almost a genre of comedy at the same time as serving a purpose. I know Ben Jordan has done some research into things that you can encode your music in that puts this horrible masking that AI can't get past, and it just sort of makes everything sound atonal and makes it useless. And I think, in a way, this feels like quite a smart thing. I mean, maybe there's something, the equivalent that writers, that people who make websites, who we're all getting scraped as well, it just turns everything, once it's pulled in, into sort of gobbledygook, and it's almost impossible to use. And there's a sense of pollution of these models, which I don't think is a bad thing. Paulie, I'll come to you first, because I know you're not keen. I'm not keen on generative AI either, So, but this just seems like such a brilliant bit of resistance, doesn't it?
Poisoning the well kind of vibes. It is a huge bit of resistance. I mean, of course, the only thing is you have to kind of make and release bad music which for me would be a bit of a chore, just like purposefully doing something like that. I like the idea. I think it's very funny. It's not where I'm kind of going with my music at the moment. I think that I'm more just completely blocking it out and continuing on my little path that I'm on, because it doesn't seem to have this constant existential threat of AI's going to take your jobs.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
It hasn't, for me at least, it hasn't happened yet, and so I'm just kind of strongly in denial and just continuing to make music using floppy disks and weird old computers.
And I think
it seems to be going okay.
Yeah, myself, I think that's probably a really good approach, but I just like the idea that people are going to be putting effort into this. I mean, this looks. I mean, he makes this look effortless. It almost like he just kind of makes it up on the spot. But obviously, there's talent and skill there. I just thought it was great fun.
And one of the things I remembered. Yep. It was some guy was doing a video saying that if you scream into a rack of servers in a data center, it doesn't like it. And it's just this small TikTok, Instagram video of a guy just screaming into a data form server and watching all of the little, things on the screen go mad and stuff. So I wonder if that's going to be a new trend of people going into data centers and screaming at things.
I imagine the security in a data center is going to only increase, but it's an interesting idea, though. I mean, there's been quite a lot. There's a tradition of obviously music as a form of resistance and revolution and protest and stuff. I mean, Woody Guthrie was very famously known for his protest songs, I believe. I mean, and then Bob Dylan after that. These are it's quite a long tradition. So the fact that he's using this style is somehow even more poetic, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. And I think it's something that was naturally going to arise from the fact that AI services like Suno and Udio, they've gotten so good at doing, I guess, like very safe music that is kind of aping. It's obviously not as good as the real thing, but it is able to at least make a facsimile of most of the most popular genres now. So I think it was logical that something would arise that would be weird and different from that. And that's a funny idea of it having, I agree with what Paulee said, where I'm not sure if I would want to go out of my way to purposely make just bad music, but I do think it's really cool that people are doing it. And I would almost, something that I've been doing, kind of a side story, but it's related. I recently partnered up to start a side project called Desperado Club with another composer, Trevor Hoffman. And both of us, we worked together on a couple projects, and we really got along on the idea that it feels that the tides are changing in the music production world right now towards people being more open-minded to stuff that is a little weird and combines genres in unusual ways. And so we formed this group because he is a classical pianist who's done his career in scoring for like TV, animation, kids movies, that kind of thing. So think kind of like John Williams, Danny Elfman type stuff. And he doesn't really use synthesizers. And then for me, as you guys know, my whole world is synthesizers and electronic music production. And we paired up and we've been writing music with just specifically like the goal on this docket is even from our sort of like our press photos and the way we're kind of, going about things and our using limitations is to try to make stuff that is specifically really weird and combines genres in a way that AI probably wouldn't think to do. Because I think it's been a really, I want to say it's not necessarily a good situation we're in, but it has, like any big creative disruption in any industry, it does make you have to think about things in a different way. And I can tell already in the last year or so that I feel like my style of production, I'm forcing myself to be a little bit more like open-minded to, hey, maybe I'll put a weird chord here. Maybe I'll change the time signature here. Maybe I'll add some element from a different genre, like some crazy classical choir into this synthwave track. And I think part of the genesis of that is thinking, how am I going to differentiate myself and continue being able to express myself creatively in a way that AI can't? So
that's a really interesting point. I don't know, Rich, this is fascinating. It also comes I mean, because the way that auto-tune crept into the popular culture and then became a thing on its own, isn't there a danger by doing this that we effectively train ourselves to want to listen to nonsense and that AI then produces? Do you see what I mean? It's sort of self-fulfilling, I suppose. Maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit.
No, I think you nailed it. We've trained ourselves to listen to nonsense. If you look at everybody, and what do? They sit and stare at 3 seconds of an Instagram video and they go to the next one. Or TikTok, they just scroll through nonsense all day long. That's, some of it's human made, but a lot of it is just algorithms generating garbage. And not only is the algorithm generating it really tough, but the algorithms that are addicting you to this stuff are even better. So it's difficult to step away and do something else. I think what we have going for us as creatives is that ultimately everybody does have some sort of passion to create something. Now, it might not be music, it might not be art, but they're creating something. And eventually you do get that itch where you're like, all right, you know what? I have to sit down and do something myself. The CEO of Suno famously said that musicians don't really like making music, which is absurd. Most musicians make music because they physically and mentally have to do it to get through the week. This is therapy. This is how you get through your day. That certainly is how it is for me. I very rarely release music, but I'm always making something because I have to. My brain forces me to do it. So everyone has these things. So AI, I don't think it's taking our creativity away, but what I think it's doing is it's making something that's already terrible, like TikTok and Instagram and all that. It's just making it so much worse. But I think that's going to come around because ultimately what these companies want is free content that they can force you to watch, to get you to watch commercials and consume these ads. But people are going to get sick of that. It's sort of the uncanny valley kind of thing where we're going to realize, no, this isn't real. I don't want to watch this anymore. And I think people will go back and find something new. So it's sort of the shitification. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until we just be like, no, this isn't what I signed up for. And we all kind of move on. I was
listening to a podcast the other day where they were talking about the fact that also a lot of the big companies, the big social media companies, are now being sued and taken to court and having to pay fines about the way that they're reaching kids and whatnot, and so that ultimately social media will end up being a kind of social outcast and socially unacceptable, like drink driving was. It's like they become pariahs, so therefore nobody wants to know them anymore. And I think they're just accelerating that. So I think there's probably some good news. Sorry, this is straying a little bit out of topic there. That's my own fault there. But anyway, I just thought I really like the idea of this guy just sitting there strumming away. There's loads of his other material is really good. He's that sort of vibe, that kind of finger picking. I guess that's a 3 or 4 string banjo type of thing. I just thought it was nice, and I'm glad that him and maybe other people are doing this, because I think it says, even if it doesn't end up training, it says a lot to people who watch it. There's 4 people here who've watched it, and whoever else who maybe hasn't heard about it is going, oh, that's interesting, and it just sort of plants a seed. So I think that's pretty marvelous, generally speaking. Let's see, what should we? Oh, I was going to go to this one. Yeah, Devin, I really enjoyed your synth jam, your last couple of videos, and I have some questions to ask about this. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this. So I downloaded it so I could play it. This is on your YouTube channel, which you'll be able to see. So you've got the Osmo CE there. That looks like, and also, is that a Breeze 6 or a Breeze?
E7, same company.
E7.
GS E7.
That looks nice. Yeah. And really fascinating is that test tubes full of waterfall LEDs as well. So this was a jam that you did that was a sort of cinematic thing. I'm guessing, was it kind of based on Odyssey type vibe soundtrack, which I guess in many ways is quite similar to some of the sounds that we heard in the first what was that? The one with, I can't remember now. The Roman guy who ends up dying in the ring. I've completely forgotten what it was called now. It's gone. Anyway, I'll come to me.
Yeah. No.
Gladiator.
Thanks for the kind words.
That's what I say. Gladiator. That's
classic. Classic. Yeah. That's I can't believe I didn't think of that either. But no. Yeah. No. So as I mentioned, so I've been really fascinated by MPE with synthesizers for a long time, because my background is in acoustic instruments, and my biggest passion outside of just producing and performing music has always been like narrative games, movies, really great stories. And I really try to think of when I'm writing music almost as telling the story. So MPE, as soon as I first tried, I think it was the very first little C-board block, like years ago.
Rolly, yeah.
And yeah, the like first iteration, because the new Rollies are awesome and they work really well. But it was like the very first iteration. I tried it at someone's studio, and I was immediately like, okay, here's the missing link. Because growing up playing guitar, when I can just bend a note, or even playing drums, where something as simple as doing a crescendo with cymbals or violin. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none with instruments. My dad's a jazz musician. Anyway, like learned a bunch of instruments. And so I really felt like as soon as I got into production, having to click in automation or be limited to just a mod wheel and, single knob movements that are more or less, linear, and not being able to do more than, I guess, 2 things at a time, the MPE really interested me. So I've been kind of on this side quests, and ExpressAV were nice enough to also reach out, and they wanted me to do a demo on the Osmo CE. So I've kind of tied that in with what I'm doing. But what I've been wanting to do is really go through a bunch of synthesizers and find out which ones feel the most natural to use with MPE. So I've been testing out a bunch of different VSTs, synths that I own, borrowing some from other people, and just trying to see, because whenever I'm writing music, if I'm doing stuff for like, a project, having that ability, even if it's just a single track doing atmospheres, but being able to really just in the moment kind of bend notes and kind of move along with whatever is happening on screen or whatever is happening in the song, if it's just a piece of music and not for picture, it's just really powerful. So far, I think I haven't tried all of them, but so far I think the two best feeling MPE hardware synthesizers that I've tried are the GSE7, which I was playing there, and then the Deckard's Dream, which I borrowed that one, and unfortunately I was like, oh man, this works so well, but it's very expensive. I was like, man, I wish this wasn't the best one, but it does work just so beautifully that I'm like now tempted. I might have to go pick one of those up eventually. So, but yeah, MPE, definitely. And
what's that? That tube full of LEDs, because I noticed it has lots of different. Is it plasma or is it LEDs?
Yeah, I get asked about that a lot on the channel. It's like an audio tube light that reacts to music. So in that mode, it was just sleeping. But people ask me about this all the time on the channel. I don't know if it's even still made, but it's called a Mass Drop FFT light. And I just bought it on a whim for the studio, and it's been like, I guess, a very popular thing that people are always asking me. They're like, oh, because when you're playing without headphones, it'll react live to your playing like each band of the light is EQ spectrum.
Like a little spectrum.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. That's an idea. That's interesting. I know, Paulie, I know, because you're musically very competent, and you don't. At least as far as I can tell, MPE hasn't played a part in the way that you perform those parts that you put into your music. Is that something? Is that by choice, or are you sort of would you like more of that stuff, or is it not something that fits with the sort of stuff that you do?
I've actually got Poly Aftertouch on a couple of my old Sonic keybeds.
Yeah.
So that can obviously bend notes per thing. Yeah, I think it's because I write in a lot of monophonic parts and layer them like an orchestra. So cool. I'm just like putting a bit of portamento on and then just playing the notes, I think, and then
that makes sense, yeah.
And then using a foot pedal also for volumes. So it's something simply I haven't got around to yet.
No, fair enough. I mean, I'm just curious. It's interesting because one thing that I find, and you might find this, Devin, as well. I've got the Osmo's keyboard version, and I find that any of these XY axis keybeds, you tend to gravitate towards exactly the sort of sound that that sort of bent, slightly Arabic scale. You just can't help, because it takes you outside of the straight 12 tone, and you can't help but do it. I don't know whether that's so the skill probably lies in applying that in a more traditional sense, so it doesn't all sound like the soundtrack to Gladiator or Odyssey.
No. 100%. It's a great point. And I think that I'm glad you mentioned the skill issue, because for me, that's definitely what it is. It really does feel like relearning an instrument. I brought over the Osmos to a friend's house who's a great piano player. And it was amazing to see right away just him being able to perform like intuitively stuff that didn't sound like that, like just doing a couple tasteful bends here and there. But I do agree with you. It does, for me at least, I gravitate more towards sort of microtonal stuff when I'm using it. But I don't even think that's a bad thing necessarily, because I feel like we've all talked about, we make music for so long and we gravitate into patterns. Like I think you were saying before with your demos, Nick, I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm probably using the same chord progression here. So having the reason why we get new pieces of gear or new things that allow us to play music in new ways is to break those patterns and give us inspiration. And I think that having the ability and to go microtonally so easily, I think that's a really cool thing about MPE. And it's definitely opened up the style of music I've written to be more open to that kind of diatonic, like traditionally like more microtonal stuff, because that's not something that I'd ever really done before using MPE controllers. Not to say that you can't do it without it, but for me, that really unlocked my appreciation and kind of interest in that genre of music.
Interesting. Rich, I think Steve Elbows, I only do tasteless bends, which is, that's fair play for being so honest there, Steve.
No such thing as tasteless bends.
So, Rich, I guess primarily designing monophonic instruments, this is something that is not necessarily has to be the center of your wheelhouse, but because you don't, you can express a monophonic instrument in many, many ways. I mean, you can add MPE and plug it all in and do those sort of things. But is it something, do you think that there's, I mean, as an analog designer, do you feel that there are areas that we need to go that will make these instruments more expressive? I mean, traditionally, if you look at the Moog Ensemble, they use wind controllers, which pair really nicely with monophonic synthesizers. You get a lot of expression there and bend, and they're lovely. It's particularly the sort of Iwis, and I think Ash and Sound Machines, ASM, made a wind instrument quite recently as well. So, I mean, imagine they pair really well with yours. But in terms of other expressive sort of techniques, is there stuff that interests you then?
We had actually yesterday in the workshops, we were playing. Someone sent us a video of them playing a wind controller with the Create Audio East Beast, and we got a big kick out of that. It sounded great. But for us, I've talked to a lot of people that use different types of controllers, and one of the things they like about semi-modular synths is just the idea that they have control over what they can modulate or what they can interact with. Because it's such an open platform, you can set anything to control one or multiple things within the ranges that you want. And I suspect you could do that in the larger digital stuff as well. But because it's so hands-on, it becomes part of the performance then, adjusting the ranges and adjusting what you're interacting with. So I can't play keyboards to save my life. The idea of this just seems ridiculous and redundant to me. I play sequencers, so to me, I sort of lean on other people to let me know how they want to get in there and interact with that stuff. And then I try, as a designer, I try to make it as easy for them to get to where they want to go as possible. But my personal experience with this stuff is literally, I turn on my sequencer and I just program in patterns like I'm, in 1984 Front 242.
Yeah,
that's kind of the world I live in.
No, fair. Yeah. Some derivative of this is going to be a show title. Tasteless bends are a baseless trend, and that's what a fantastic
oh my God, that's great.
Bit of wordplay.
I
I know there's too many characters in that. I'm going to try and figure out if I can get that in the show title somewhere on the poster frame. That's absolutely awesome. Interesting. I just thought it was a fascinating thing. I have to wrap things up soon because I need to go and watch an eclipse, and I wanted to. I know this was the first title in it, but I'm probably going to get busted for this. But obviously, the news this week that William Orbit sadly passed away, and this track is pretty much my entire musical kind of influence during this period. There he is. Such a great piece of music, this. Just got to wait for the groove to come in just because it's so infectious. This is Sharon Musgrave and MC in a One Step. Lovely. I absolutely love that. I think almost every musical element in that I probably stole. Those sort of lovely Juno kind of belly sort of chorus things, the 303 kind of stuff. It's just, Juno 106, Super Bass Station, break beats, and I think he used the Juno for the bass because it's got that sort of hollow quality. I'm not sure, but it's hard to underestimate and undervalue his contribution. We're talking Bassomatic, Prince, Madonna, Ray of Light. He single-handedly made Madonna cool. before she was all pop, and then that was cool, and then she went on to be cool again. But that was the transition point. I think Frozen is one of my. I just think it's absolutely amazing. Strange Cargo, Pieces in a Modern Style, which was a classical album, sort of neoclassical, which topped the charts both sides of America.
Yes,
and people were outraged, that it was topping the classical charts. It was mostly Barber's Adagio that he did a beautiful version of. And then Blur, he produced Blur. I'm just, honestly, I don't know if it resonates with everybody else, but I'm absolutely, I was kind of quite sad today. I mean, it really hit me. I was listening to some of his music. It's just like, oh man, this is a sad business. I'm glad to hear that the resident young person in the panel has also got William Orbit references and is nodding away there. So, yeah, amazing talent. What a guy. Just a really, unique voice, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the Madonna one, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I wasn't sure if I would get negative points for bringing that up as my most, I guess, resonated piece of work that he's done. But yeah, the whole Ray of Light album is so good. And I agree with what you said, Nick. He single-handedly made Madonna cool. Like Frozen is just, what a track. I think it's the best Madonna track, period. But I didn't actually know he produced Blur. Do you know what music he did? Because I grew up
13 is the album 13.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was Tender is one, and there were a fair few other ones. There was also Pure Shores, which is I've forgotten the name of
All Saints.
All Saints, which is another beautiful, very, very much his Sonic thing. And I listened to all those things, and I just look back at the remixes I was doing at the time. I met him once because he was recording at Mole's in Bath, where I was the sound engineer, and we'd just done Tom's Diner, and I went upstairs to meet him because they were doing a live gig downstairs that was going to be performed. So I met him, and he was a lovely guy, and he just sort of said, just put a 400 millisecond delay on everything, that'll be fine. And then they did the gig. I did the sound for him, and it was just, I didn't get to interact with him again, but that's my only story. Apart from, there was a drummer in a band who went out with a girl called John Paul Jones's daughter, Cindy Jones, and she was an engineer at Guerrilla Studios, where a lot of those remixes started, and his technique was fill a 24-track tape with stuff and just sort of basically flick the faders up and switch things on and off. So you'd have maybe 4 or 5 or 6 ideas all at the same time running concurrently. You just cut between them and then edit again afterwards. Just absolutely amazing. I don't know whether he has the same relevance to your musical influences and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. The thing that kind of, going back and listening, to some of these tracks, I put Ray of Light on today and was astounded at hearing all the little things, all the little weird sounds he'd put in. I absolutely love stuff like that.
And
Ear
loads
candy,
of guitar.
I call it.
Loads of guitar.
Loads of guitar. Just, an affected guitar and little bits of distortion and cool. There was so much personality, and it kind of made me a little bit sad that mainstream pop doesn't seem to have that level of personality anymore, because the other thing about William Orbit is that he used really odd chords on occasion. There's a track he did with Pink called, is it Feel Good Time or Real Good Time, which has some really wild jazzy chords in it and some amazing production. So yeah, it was just, and the thing is, I wasn't that interested in mainstream music in the 90s. I was kind of, a goth and listening to industrial and, weird stuff. It surprised me how much I liked it, how much I liked something that was supposed to be a mainstream thing. That the popular kids liked in the 90s, and here I was enjoying it, and I think that speaks to his ability to cross not just genres but cultures, so that's my thoughts. I'm rambling now.
Beth Orton as well, loads of stuff. I don't know, Rich. I mean, I think some of his stuff crossed over to the US. Certainly, Madonna would have been big in the States, and I think the classical album was big there as well. Strange Cargo, there's some beautiful stuff there. I don't know if you're familiar with any of his work outside of the obvious ones or not, but yeah, sad.
Yeah, I took a deep dive on his stuff, probably 15 years ago or so. And I really fell in love with it. The Bassmatic stuff and then the Madonna stuff, sort of way after it was popular or sort of had its time, I sort of fell into it. And I just loved all the energy that it had and how there was so much in there that you could listen to. And it wasn't just, here's a beat and a bass line. There was little things sprinkled in, like Paulee was saying. And it really inspired me. Now reading about how his production style was kind of reminds me of how I make music nowadays. Now I do it digitally, but the idea of I'll record 20 or 25 sort of 2-minute long sections of arpeggiators or whatnot, and then just sort of slide them all to the right in Ableton and then just chop them and pull them back and sort of piece things together. It kind of reminds me of that. So it's nice to know that people have been working sort of wrong for a long time, and I'm not the first person sort of breaking things to accomplish what I'm trying to do. So that makes me feel good. But his music was fabulous, an incredible talent, and he is going to be missed.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, it follows that kind of eccentric British producer. I mean, him and Thomas Dolby are kind of part of the same mold to a degree. I mean, Thomas Dolby came a little bit before him, but again, sort of utilizing technology and specific instruments to just sort of get a very specific sound. Just, yeah, fantastic. Well, I mean, an uplifting note. So if you want to be uplifted by it, just go and listen to a load of William Orbit stuff. If you're into synths, you can't fail to appreciate some of the beautiful sounds and the sounds that, you know, some of them are just, it's like, oh, that's preset number X on a Juno, you know, it's like, but he spotted it and it's like, that sounds great in this thing. Just those beautiful wide chorus things that were over heavy beats, just yeah, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, lovely to have a chat with you. I'm going to go and try not to burn my retinas as I look at the eclipse. Paulie, are you going out to view it with the kids, or are you going to have to keep them away because they will be tempted to look if you need the glasses?
They're not here,
that's for sure.
Then they're not here, so they're not my problem.
Okay.
So that's good. So I'm just going to chill and watch it later. But yeah, I wanted to say what I'm up to next is that I am doing a bunch of demos for Modular Electronics. And my next one is going to be all about making video game sounds on the Carbonate. So you'll love that one, Nick, because there's so much PWM in that video. Literally every sound has PWM. I like the
Carbonate. Carbonate's a lovely sounding instrument, definitely.
It's amazing.
Well, good.
It's really nice.
Good. Devin, what's next for you?
Yeah, so it's early here in Canada, so the rest of the day just going to be in the studio. I'm working on a video this week for Erica Synths for their new Resonator. It's a resonator pedal.
Yes.
So continuing my little side quest into effects boxes before going back to scheduled synth programming.
Right, excellent. And Rich, I guess, do you get a break now? Do you get to go and sit at a lake and dip your toes, go fishing, turn off for a bit, or is it no?
No, it's back to work. Actually, last week, the whole second half of the week, and then over the weekend, I went on holiday with my wife and my brother and his wife to Chicago, and we went to see the Foo Fighters play at the giant, ridiculous stadium outside. So I'm vacationed out, and I'm anxious to get back in it. Yesterday was sort of a blur, but today it's back to meetings and designing and solving actual fun problems. So I'm desperately looking forward to it.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Thanks to all of the people involved. It's been a fun one. We'll see you all next time. I'm going to say that's the end of that show. Which button do I press? I'd forgotten. I think it's this one. See you, everybody. That was Sonic Talk number 904. Take care.